Hello, back again. Very, very sorry. Hopefully this will be better now. I am guessing that this is okay. Now I'm using it. We're back doing it through Zoom. So looks a little bit better now, although I can't promise. So hopefully you guys are still with me or will rejoin and we will be able to do it that way. So dreadfully sorry. Then again, I am happy that today I have no guests, so I don't have to apologize to any of the guests, just to all the people watching. So at least there's that. It's only me to apologize to myself and to you guys. So as I was saying, talking about Corona, saying it's gotten much worse here in Poland and that things are closing down, which is unfortunate. All of Europe going through a third wave. Looks like we're in many ways right back where we started last year, which is in some sense very appropriate as we do this year in review. And it's 52 weeks in. But of course, we're at a very, very different place than we were 52 weeks ago. 52 weeks ago, we had no idea what was going on. We thought this would be a month or two. We really were in uncharted territories. I remember in the positive sense, we also, all of us did think that everybody was going to get Corona. Which now doesn't seem to be the case because of the fast production development of the vaccine, which many people have taken. I'm happy to see so many people in Israel and the United States. Here it's going a little bit more slowly, but it is underway, and our survivors are, almost all of our survivors now have been vaccinated, all the over 80s, which is most of the survivors. And of course, the rest of the survivors now over 70 getting vaccinated. So we are we're going in that direction pretty fast, but not as fast as we like, and not as fast as some other countries. But Europe is really a mess. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen over the summer. But we are 52 weeks in, exactly 1 year into this lockdown, and we are at record highs of Corona. Although psychologically, you'd have to say that it's very, very different to be where we are now, that there's that there's a vaccine and that people are starting to get vaccinated, and the end is in sight. So lucky for that. Hello, Anna Maria Barua, tour guide extraordinaire, back. She's back on the job, ladies and gentlemen. Slowly, there is a little bit of tourism, although I'm afraid that's all going to stop in a couple of days. But yeah, there have been some tours, I know. So good to see our expert guide, Anna Maria. Hello, right? Jeffrey's asking when you're supposed to get married. That's true. Jeffrey is the wedding whisperer. When Jeffrey decides people get married, they get married. So I don't want no pressure there or anything. I just want to say for a few people so far, Jeffrey's the one who decides. So when Jeffrey puts his mind to it, people get married. So we thought on the 52nd week, as we get past our technical difficulties, we thought it would be interesting to do a bit of a year in review. First about the AMA. I never thought this would be going 52 weeks in. Also about the JCC. Also about the JCC. Okay, I lost myself, but Seb tells me I'm still there. Also about the JCC, the AMA, and then I have a lot of questions that people sent in. So please, you are more than welcome to send questions in to me. So the AMA, I thought it was really with some really interesting statistics as we're in week 52. So gender breakdown. We are always mindful, and this is something that I remember the first person who really talked to me about all this, although maybe it should be obvious, was our friend Ruth Ellen Gruber. We're always very mindful about panels, and here at the JCC, when we do things, we always try to make sure that things are equitable from a gender point of view. We've had 25 women and 24 men. So there you go. Very, very good to see equal number of men and women that have been the guests here, and we do that. We try to be mindful of that. We've had 26 American guests, 18 Polish guests, 2 Israeli guests, 2 Canadian guests, 1 British guest, 1 Australian guest, and 1 Greek guest. That's our country breakdown. We've had 5 rabbis, 3 politicians, 1 current ambassador, 1 former ambassador, and 1 former consul. And those are our general statistics. I'm looking at the names. I was doing a little bit of we didn't start the fire with our guests. Rabbi Baumel, Benji Lovett, Vicky Warner, Aggie Gish, Kasha Leonardi, Rabbi David Kirshner. Okay, that's enough of me singing. I think we've established that we don't need any of that. But those are our AMA stats. And to be honest, I have enjoyed this so much. I'm going to absolutely keep it going. As we go next week, we have a guest who's a good friend of mine, Ed Sirota, who will be the first guest of our second year of the AMA. Wanted to also talk about JCC stats a little bit, what's been going on here as we do sort of over the last year of the of JCC during these 52 AMA weeks, the 52 weeks of Corona. Hello, Vicky Arkin Warner. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you. As always, long time no speak. Yes, season 2 AMA starting next week. Exactly, season 2. So from a programming point of view, we have done 3,145 phone calls to our seniors, over almost 3,200 phone calls to our seniors. And the notes I have, there's one senior who I'm not going to mention, about 300 calls between me and one of our seniors, who I don't think is watching, but still I won't. It's been lovely talking to her every one of those 300 times. We've done about 1,200 deliveries, 430s for our survivors for general COVID relief, 167 for our seniors for Jewish holidays, 363 for our seniors for Shabbat, and then 153 different packages for our members. Besides that, for holidays, we've had 252 online events, 252 online events, and we've reached about 72,000 people through our online events. And because we always have to somehow pay for these things, I have the statistics: 554 new donors and 726 recurring donors. So for everybody watching, thank you. If you're a supporter of the JCC, or even if you're not a supporter of the JCC, then you're supporting us just by watching this. And that you can, even if you don't support us financially, you can support us in our mission by telling people what's going on, mentioning what we're doing, and generally, that's a way that you can be involved with us financially or not financially, or financially is always, or you can do both, as I'm sure some of our board members watching would say. You can do both. You can donate money and talk about the JCC and support us. Some of the highlights for the last year. I'm happy to say that all of our survivors are safe and well. We haven't had lost anyone to Corona, which is something that we've really worked incredibly hard at this year to make sure that keep our seniors out of the shops, keep them out of stores, do the shopping for them, and do what we can to keep people safe. And I'm very, very proud of that. Of all the things that we're doing, I'm just about the most proud of that. We were open for 4 weeks in person, which was a nice 4 weeks, quasi-open, I should say, or partially open. We celebrated a full calendar of Jewish holidays. We've been open, Friday has been open in person almost the whole time, except for about a month, or maybe also a month in the beginning, I think. So I think almost the whole year, Friday has been open, which is wonderful to us, wonderful for us to be able to make sure that our community kids, the Jewish kids in our community, are getting a Jewish education in Krakow, despite Corona, which hasn't been easy, but we're happy to be able to do that and proud of that. We have 2 community-led initiatives, not only JCC initiatives, but community-led initiatives. One is Achayot, which is a support group for women, and the other is the Bagel Club, which is a program for families and young children. I should say that the Achayot program is a separate program. It's a support group where women meet and help each other, separate from our Kol Isha, which is a women's leadership initiative. So those are some new initiatives going on. We moved Ride for the Living online, and we grew it to 5 times its size. So 1,300 participants, and now it's become the global challenge, which is, I think, will be even thousands of participants this year. We have, I think, 1,200 people already, plus a bunch of institutions. So we're looking at a few thousand participants at least, and that's really going to grow. And of course, the newest JCC Krakow initiative, which is something that we're working on very hard right now, just something very, very fresh, which is Holocaust Survivor Day, and a very important, I think, relevant, necessary initiative that was born with the op-ed that Michael Berenbaum and I wrote in the Jerusalem Post, a nice article in the forward. JTA picked it up, starting to gain momentum around the world, and starting to have people joining us with that. So we really hope that this will be, as I see it, it is a day for and about Holocaust survivors. You can celebrate them, you can support them in your community as you wish. Anywhere around the world, you do it as you choose, but let's all do something, take this one day and support Holocaust survivors. So that was a major, major new initiative. We are also very proud that we didn't fire anybody. We didn't have to let anybody go, make anybody redundant. We're able to keep the whole staff involved through their sacrifice and ours. We've worked to do that. So we've kept our JCC team intact. And Ryan Kaplan lets us know that there are 13 partner organizations so far in our global challenge. That's wonderful. Good work with that, Ryan. If you, your synagogue, your JCC, you whoever are not signed up yet for the global challenge, then get involved. Please sign up. No excuses. Get everybody involved. So I have a bunch of questions. Anybody who wants to post any questions in the comments there, I will get to them. I will answer any single question you have. But I have a bunch of questions here, and I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to answer every one. Now, of course, you won't know if I'm skipping any. You'll have to take my word for it. So please post your questions and comments below. Seb will make sure I get to them. But I'm going to read my list, which is the following. Here we go. What is the biggest challenge running the JCC this past year? What was or is the biggest challenge running it this past year? I will say that one was literally keeping it open. So making sure that the mechanism that exists to keep funding coming in kept going. I would say that keeping the staff engaged and optimistic and believing in our mission, although people were remote and have been remote, was a challenge. I think for me, psychologically and stuff, it was also a challenge to switch my role to one of travel, to one of being here at the JCC a lot more than I usually am. But it's been going well. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish this year. What was the biggest success story? I will say the biggest success story is keeping our Holocaust survivors healthy. And we have done everything we can. We've spared no expense, and absolutely everything we can, driving early in the morning. Seb and I the other day bringing one of our survivors for a corona test before her operation, doing everything we can, all of us really pitching in to keep our survivors safe. I'm going to say that was, if I have to pick one number one success story, I'm going to say keeping our survivors safe. Number three, what were the plans that the JCC was not able to carry out this past year? Well, of course, the biggest was an in-person Ride for the Living. That was a massive, for us, always a massive undertaking, one of the biggest events that we do here, or the biggest maybe of the year. So that was, we weren't able to do it in person, but of course we did pivot and created virtual Ride for the Living and Global Challenge, which will continue. Even when Ride for the Living is going in full force and people are coming from all over the world, we will keep this Global Challenge going and keep everybody engaged during the month of June. So, even from negative, I think you can say that all the positive comes out. What did I think of the JCC team working during the pandemic? Any words of wisdom to share with them? Really just thanks. I know it's not easy. People here are in, people working here are generally young and are living in apartments, small apartments, and have been isolated. And it's been hard to work when you don't have much space to yourself. And I appreciate the challenge of that. And people have done just a heroic job here at the JCC and in organizations all around. Not only ours, but I think it's been an amazing thing to be able to make that psychological twist and have to switch your entire life to work remotely, especially if you don't have that much space. So there you go. Where is the JCC now, and where was it in March 2020? It was, now it is in Kazimierz in Krakow, and March 20 was in Kazimierz in Krakow on Miodowa Street. Where are we now? In terms of that question, I think that we are even stronger as an institution than we were a year ago. I'll take the philosophical meaning of that question. I would say that the idea that we've been able to not only continue to do what we're doing in terms of programming for the community, but really become much more of a welfare institution and to give so much direct aid to our needy community members and especially our Holocaust survivors. This, I think, speaks to an organization that is really even stronger. But I'll also say, coming up with our new ideas like the Global Challenge, the way we've grown the bicycle ride, the idea of Holocaust Survivor Day, that was, that really came in many ways from Sebastian, is something, this is something really special. So we're not, I think no matter what the outside circumstances are, we're not in a mode of just, hunkering down and making sure that we are able to get by. That's important, but we're always looking for new ideas. We're always looking to expand. We're always thinking how we can do, do a better job for our community, and also seeing ourselves as we do as an organization, a local Jewish organization with a global impact. Do I have a vision of how a post-pandemic JCC will look like? Yeah, I hope that everybody will be back in the building, that will be able to work here, that all the language classes and all workshops and everything will return to the building. Visitors, come back. We want our visitors, our beloved visitors, to come back, join us for holidays, join us for Shabbat dinners, to see, I can't wait to share Shabbat dinners with all the people that come from all over the world. One of the highlights of the job is meeting all different individuals and groups that came through for Shabbat dinners or other meetings. Krakow in many ways is a very special place. And one of them is that so many people, especially from the Jewish world, pass through Krakow at some point. I guess historically because it's near Auschwitz, but now, of course, for so many reasons beyond that, this rebirth of Jewish life that we're involved in. So yeah, I hope that the post-pandemic JCC will look a lot like it looked before, a fun building filled with life and love and laughter and hope and optimism and care and empathy and yeah, that's what I hope will be the case. What was the most random thing you had to do running the JCC for the past 13 years? The most random thing I had to do. We have a glass, for those of you who haven't been in the building, over the entrance, we have a glass roof, a little bit of a glass, roof, it's a piece of glass that's over the awning, a glass awning maybe in front of the entrance. And when the JCC first opened, I was afraid to let anybody else do it. I don't know how insurance worked or anything, didn't want anyone to fall through. So I climbed out and was the one who took the snow off. I also used to mow the lawn. To be honest, I like the physical work. I don't really like sitting in an office. So it was, I don't know if it was I had to do it. I guess there was nobody working here to do it, but I did a lot of the physical work in the beginning. That was somewhat random. But it's been a million things, a million things that have been fascinating, strange things that I never envisioned, but almost all very, very good. The JCC had over 1 million visitors before the pandemic. Do you still remember the first group that ever visited? How were things different in 2008 and the beginning of 2020? The first group that I remember visiting was from Baltimore Federation. Now, I don't know that that was absolutely officially the first group, but I do remember that that was from Baltimore Federation. A group came and they were telling me they were talking about, oh my God, people would love this. You have to let the world know. And I was like, oh really? Wow, I had no idea. The idea of visitors didn't even necessarily dawn on me so much in the beginning, but that was the first group. That was the first group I remember. And how are things different? In 2008, it was like three or four of us working here. I was sitting on the floor with a laptop. There was really not much. So we've gone from, probably 3-4 employees in the beginning to however many we have now, 30 something full-time, another 20 or so teachers and part-time. So it's just grown. The building has grown completely. We have a question from Emily. Emily from New Mexico. Is any of Europe open for travelers? Not really for Americans, Emily. Not really. I think within Europe, you can travel a little bit. Obviously, there are no borders, so there's some aspect of you're allowed to cross. I think flights, there are much less. If you want to drive from Poland to a country next to us, nobody would stop you. So you can travel within Europe, but if you don't have a European passport, it's very difficult. And I think as an American, you're not allowed into the European Union these days, unless you have some sort of European citizenship or like a residence card. You just established Holocaust Survivor Day. Do you think there's a need for a museum of Jewish history in Krakow, not only focusing on the war? Well, there's the Galicia Jewish Museum. To me, that is a museum of Jewish history in Krakow. I don't know that there's necessarily need for another museum. I think the Galicia Jewish Museum does a good job. So no, I would say that we don't need another museum of Jewish history in Krakow. Galicia does a good job, and yeah, and we're lucky to have the Galicia Jewish Museum. So I would say no. If money and time weren't an issue, what is a place you'd want to go visit and why? If money and time weren't an issue, where would I visit? I'm going to interpret that question to mean I can go for as long as I want. I love the sun. So for me, it's, I think, where would I go? South Pacific, I think would be interesting. I'd like to spend, I'm just going to say like Tahiti, places like that, Borneo. I'd like to spend more time in the Far East, Thailand, Vietnam, beaches, some islands, things like that are really, I think, the most interesting for me. And Kasha as well, we're in a similar mindset in terms of what we like to do, which are pretty much lie in the sun during the day, get sun all day, hang out, read, drink lots of tropical fruit drinks, things like that, go for a run, work out a little bit, and then jump on a scooter and explore and look at new things and markets and stuff like that. So places like the Far East are really good for that. If you were offered a commercial space flight, would you take it? JCC t-shirt to the moon. Yeah, 100%. If I were offered a commercial space flight, I would go on it. I hope the person who sent that question in isn't trying to get rid of me. I will assume the best. But yeah, if they offered me a commercial space flight and I could afford it, 100%, that would be very cool. I would wear my JCC Krakow spacesuit, and yeah, no question. I think go to the moon or space or anywhere else. I would have to think about which watch to bring. That would be an interesting question. Once we travel again, what places in the US would you say one needs to see besides New York, assuming New York is a part of the US? New York is officially part of the US, but I think most of us know better. What are the must-see places in the US? Wow. So there are places that I haven't been in the US that I would say are probably must-see, like the Grand Canyon. I've never been in person, but obviously are amazing places. I'm gonna say of places that I've been, I will say Hawaii is unbelievable, really just tropical paradise. The Florida Keys, the whole South Florida, Miami, Florida Keys are really cool. It's a very interesting vibe down there. San Francisco is a beautiful city I really like. Chapel Hill I love. Yeah, those are places that I would absolutely say are must-see places in the US. Okay, what's your favorite animal besides dogs? Because I love Hanya, Leon, and Dexter. Yeah, so Hanya is our dog, but of course we do have Mimi, my mother-in-law, Kasha's mom, Sylvia, has two dogs, two Chihuahuas who are staying with us for a month or so, which is fascinating. I can't really complain about it too much because I'm not the primary caregiver of those two dogs. So it would be dishonest of me to complain. And they are very sweet, but Dexter is about 20 years old and is kind of half with us, and Leon is also very sweet and cute. But yeah, so besides the my animals or my animal and visiting Chihuahuas, my favorite animal. What is my favorite animal? I used to like snakes. When I was a kid, I really liked snakes. I had pet snakes, all different snakes. I had a snake called 007, which I used to be obsessed with James Bond. Now I'm only moderately obsessed with James Bond. So I don't know these days, snakes really. I don't know. What's my favorite animal? I don't know. I like giraffes. It's a nice animal, a giraffe. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, as a vegetarian for a long time, almost 30 years, 27, 28-year vegetarian, I always find this sort of hierarchy of animals a little bit upsetting. Like people are like, oh my God, don't hurt like dolphin-free tuna. I don't understand. So you're fishing for tuna, you're gonna kill the tuna and eat it. But oh my God, what happens if a dolphin gets caught in the net of the tuna? People are very upset about the dolphin that gets killed with the tuna. What about the tuna? Why is it like we have this hierarchy of smarter animals or cuter animals? And I don't say I never understood it. I do understand it, but it never really sat well with me. People eat dogs in certain places. How can they do that? Well, what's the difference between a dog and a pig? I mean, pigs are more intelligent than dogs, especially more intelligent than our dog. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. Favorite animal? I like dogs. If I had a 1-minute window to screen whatever I want during the Super Bowl ad slot, what would you show the world? I would clearly show the world one of our very cool JCC promos, Ride for the Living promos. We've done some really cool ones over the year. That's absolutely what I would show to the world during the Super Bowl ad. Maybe I would take 15 seconds for myself just to sort of lecture and be a little bit preachy. Maybe something anti-Trump, sort of, talk to people. But then again, the Super Bowl crowd, I mean, it's a big crowd, but I think it would skew a little bit Trumpy. So yeah, but I would show some JCC thing. Of course, what am I going to show? Maybe a couple seconds of The Godfather. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'd probably show some fun. No, I would show JCC promo material because they're always very, very good. What is a hobby practice you picked up during the pandemic that you would not have done if it wasn't for the lockdown? Making pizza. I don't think I would be making pizza and obsessively. I think that it's not that I'm doing so many things that are new. It's just that I'm going a lot deeper into things that I was already a little bit into. So I was a little bit into watches, and now in lockdown, I'm a lot more. So things that I was kind of a little bit focused on, I've become a lot more focused on. Street signs, one's behind me, you don't see, but so maybe those things. So I don't know that it's something entirely new, but making pizza, I'm very into pizza, and I like to watch videos of people making pizza, these experts that make pizza. They talk about different hydrations in the dough, which sounds very strange, but I don't know, I kind of get a little bit into that. So that I'd say that would be something. Did the pandemic help you discover something about yourself because of all the time for sitting and thinking? I mean, I feel like I've been very busy. Like, I don't know, I've come into work every day. So it would probably be that. Yeah, okay, something about myself. I miss travel. I really like traveling, although I complained a little bit about it, and I knew that I liked it, but I didn't understand how much traveling around and seeing friends that I've made around the world, how important that was to me, maybe because I just didn't appreciate it. That in some ways, although I've lived in Krakow for 20 years, for the last 7 or 8 years, my life has sort of been, almost like half in Krakow and half outside it. And I've helped to understand how important that other part of my life is outside of Krakow. Do I see any silver linings of the pandemic? Absolutely. Absolutely, I see silver linings of the pandemic. One, to me, the most obvious is, anytime you go through something difficult and you come out the other side, then you are more aware of your own strength as a person, whether that's a physical characteristic, whether that's emotional, psychological, whatever it is, anything that you go through that's difficult, you're stronger for having gone through it. That the old, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger, which is a cliche, but it's very true. So for the world, we've gone, at the end of the day, we never had a pandemic like this in modern times. 1918 was 1918, but I guess it didn't really spread as much in that sense. Of course, we didn't have the medicine for it that we do now, and the vaccines to deal with it so quickly. It just kind of went away on its own. But in that sense, so I think that that's one, just the idea of going through the pandemic, the fact that we will have gone through it is something that's a silver lining. I think technology, I think we've come to understand how much we can't rely on screens. So how much interaction, I think for most of us, I guess, we miss people. We miss the interaction with people. Although before the pandemic, we're very dependent on screens. I think we've come to understand that they don't replace humans. Working out in your house on a video yoga or something is not the same as being in a room full of people doing Pilates or yoga, or if you're anything that you're doing like that, or speaking to people, in person, visiting them. I think it reinforces our knowledge. That's something that maybe we didn't quite see before. The science of the vaccine is something that we wouldn't have had necessarily. It's helped us, will help us in the future with other vaccines, this whole RNA development of vaccines. Who knows, maybe Trump wouldn't have, because maybe America would have been insane enough to vote for that madman once again, if not for the pandemic and not the pandemic, but the way that he dealt with the pandemic, which was terrible. So I think that's something, maybe one of the silver linings is that maybe his reaction to it helped rid the world of him. What does my typical day look like these days? Good question. I wake up in the morning. I drink I wake up in the morning. Well, yeah, wake up in the morning. I don't sleep very well these days. I wake up a lot during the night, but it's gotten worse lately, but okay. So wake up in the morning, have a fruit vegetable shake that usually Kasha makes. Today I made it for myself, actually, which is rare. But then check my email, look online a little bit, see what's going on, hanging out in the morning a little bit with Kasha. I haven't been going into work so early just because there's not really much need for me to be there that much. So try to do something with Kasha a little bit in the morning. Maybe if we have errands to run or go for a walk and do something, hang out with Kasha a little bit. Then I come into work. I'm at work during the day, then go to the gym, then usually go home, have some dinner, and just hang out with Kasha if we need to do shopping or something like that. Pretty much have some calls do some emails in the evening, watch something on TV, and go to sleep. Ooh, a question coming in. Do I miss some people who used to be in Krakow but were unable to get back during Corona? Yes, I miss Rabbi Avi. Oh, how I miss Rabbi Avi. He's a missing piece of our JCC puzzle. Rabbi Avi, for 1 year, I haven't seen him. So of course I miss Rabbi Avi. I feel like I was making good progress. He was just starting to turn a corner and learning about the world and his whole religious belief thing, all of this Hashem stuff and Orthodox stuff and all of that. I was just beginning to free his mind from the prison that he was in when, boom, Corona happens, and it's difficult to educate Rabbi Avi over online or by phone. So hopefully when he comes back, I will continue his education and he will continue on his path toward enlightenment. But yeah, I miss people. I miss seeing people. It's been a difficult year for me. My mom passed away. That was tough. I wasn't there when she passed away. She was sick for a while and I wasn't able to go. So that was a challenge. It's been a tough year. Was Tiger King the best thing about the pandemic? It was pretty damn good, that Tiger King. It united us. The whole world was watching Tiger King. I don't think anything like that since. Maybe the Michael Jordan documentary, but that was Tiger King was the most uniting aspect of the pandemic. I don't know if it was the best thing about the pandemic, but it was the most uniting TV show. That and maybe the interview with Oprah and Harry and Meghan. But yeah, Tiger King was great. It feels like a lifetime ago, that Tiger King. If you would ask me that, I would say that was like 4 or 5 years ago, Tiger King. It's so interesting, the idea. We'll have to figure out how pandemic time is just its own different thing. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Asking for a friend. Oh, a Monty Python and Holy Grail. Oh, someone Monty Python. Oh, all too clever Monty Python question. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. What would your plan to create a Hamantash Latka hybrid? What would be my plan to create a Hamantash Latka hybrid to end all wars? Now, where would the fun in that be? No. Hamantash is Hamantash, Latka is Latka, and never the twain shall meet. And one final question. What are my 3 favorite books? Wow, my 3 favorite books. Okay. My 3 favorite books are Billy Budd by Herman Melville, Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson, I'm going to go fiction. I'm going to give you fiction and nonfiction, although you didn't ask. So fiction, Billy Budd. What did I say? What was the second one? Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson, which is a collection of sort of short stories, absolute genius. And I'm going to say the third one is Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer, my 3 favorite novels. And I'm going to say I would put Steinbeck. I would add a Steinbeck if I'm allowed to put a 4th, maybe Mice and Men. I'm a big Steinbeck fan, and I used to like Vonnegut. But all right, let's not digress. Those are my 3 favorite novels. 3 favorite nonfiction. I'm gonna say that's also a tough one. Okay, I'm gonna leave the 3 favorite fiction, 3 nonfiction, because I was thinking I wanted to add Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond into my 3, so I was gonna add nonfiction, but I'm gonna leave that. I'm going to leave that category and just say those are my 3 favorite fiction. Billy Budd, Jesus' Son, Everything is Illuminated. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no more questions, I will end this year in review episode with a thank you to my audience. Thanks to everybody for watching, for tuning in. Thank you to Seb and Ola and the staff here at the JCC. It's been a challenging, difficult year of Corona, but I am optimistic as we move forward that the world will heal. And, you know, one of the most beautiful concepts I know, and I always forget the name of it, but maybe Seb will tell it to me. There's a very beautiful idea, a Japanese idea, and the Japanese just have, they do so many things right. I will say that the Japanese, and this is the place that Kasha wants to go in the world, is Japan. And neither of us has been. But there's a very beautiful idea, this Japanese idea of fixing broken pottery. That's the name of it? No. Wabi sabi? All right, Sebastian tells me wabi sabi, which I hope is not some terrible thing I shouldn't be saying. But there's a beautiful Japanese concept, wabi sabi, which is fixing a broken piece of pottery with gold, and the thing that's been fixed is more beautiful than the original object. So that, to be honest, that's how I see things. Although I'm very cynical, that's generally my worldview, that when we fix things, they're more perfect and more beautiful than they were in the first place. So with that, I will leave you. Be well. See you next week.